How we doing, guys? Welcome to today's DT's Daily. What are we going to speak about today? We're going to be speaking about David Raya because it looks like Arsenal have negotiated a new deal with him. And also, we're going to be talking about the Emirates Stadium because it looks like we may have to play at Wembley. Yeah. I know you're sitting there thinking, play at Wembley? What's going on here? If you haven't seen the news, you haven't heard what the proposals are. Arsenal are looking to upgrade the Emirates Stadium. Now, we haven't been there 20 years. 2006 is when we moved, but already we have fallen behind so many clubs, as is the way with stadiums and modernization and everything else. And I think what makes it worse is that there's actually two London clubs with a bigger capacity than Arsenal, and one of them is Spurs. We can't have that. Cannot have that at all. But at the end of the day, when you look at the Cronkies and you're looking at stadium builds, I trust what they're going to do because you only have to look at their stadium in LA to see how mad a kind of stadium they can build. And I think it holds a capacity of around about 100,000, but we're not going to be going up to those kind of levels at the moment. And the reports are suggesting that we're going to be looking in excess of 70,000 towards the 75,000 mark, which would be an increase of well over 10,000. And when you think about the fact that there's, I'd say around about 100,000 or so, give or take, on the waiting list for a season ticket, if we can knock that down some, maybe not a lot, but some, then yeah, it might make a few more people happy and it might mean more fans get the opportunity of watching Arsenal. And that ultimately is what we all want. And yeah, listen, I've kind of looked at the report and the suggestions and everything else, and this is not going to happen within the next season or so. It's probably in the next 4 years or so, if it happens. There's a lot of hurdles to get over and planning permission and, residents have to all agree and everything else. And that was one of the issues that we actually had at Highbury and why we ultimately had to move and we couldn't extend Highbury and make it bigger because residents were not happy about it. I still find it a strange one that, you live next door to a football stadium and you moan about the noise. Doesn't really make sense, does it? But listen, at the end of the day, looking at the Emirates currently and what they're saying in terms of the expansion is that it would not be an expansion on the exterior of the Emirates because I don't think we have a lot of room to play with. When you think about the rail network that surrounds the Emirates, it makes life very, very difficult and it's just not going to happen. So they're talking about expanding internally. Now, I know a lot of people are going to think, how on earth are they going to make the stadium bigger by that amount internally? What are they going to do? Well, what they're suggesting, and I'm actually going to put the image up for people to get a better understanding, is that they're actually going to deal with the gradient inside the stadium. And in terms of the seating, look at the image and you'll see for yourself what I mean. Will they fill those corners in, where the scoreboards are? Apparently those were put in place to do with airflow and help the pitch way back in the day. Could Arsenal be looking at a Real Madrid type, model with a roof? We all know about the roof. We were told that the atmosphere is different with the roof on. Remember that. Could we have a wraparound scoreboard, which is very similar to, Real Madrid's and very American-like, shall we say? And yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, listen, you have to move with the modern times. And if Arsenal are doing that and it's not going to affect what happens on the pitch, then I'm all for it because the last thing I want is Arsenal to actually start competing and winning trophies on the pitch. And then we go and take away the budget and pull it all on a stadium expansion. It's like, oh no, don't do that again. We had it all when we moved from Highbury to the Emirates and, oh no, I'm not going through none of that again. Please, no, none of that. But I do think we're in a completely different situation now. And like I said, I think that it's exciting for fans. I think this is something that fans can look forward to. I think the downside to it, like I was alluding to, is the move to Wembley, the proposed move to Wembley, because, if the stadium's being rebuilt, we need another home. Now, we are never, ever, ever, ever going to be doing a ground share with Spurs. It's never, ever going to happen. So before anyone even thinks of that stupid idea and puts it in the comments or whatever, it's just never going to happen. So the most logical, ground that we would go to would be Wembley. Spurs done it, when they were rebuilding their stadium. And of course, we had to play Champions League football there, which I think was in 1998, 99 and 2000. Didn't go that well at that time. I remember there was some games in there that we didn't do too well. Maybe the teams raised their levels. And as a fan, going to Wembley is supposed to be for the cup finals and that magical feeling. So yeah, it'd be weird for the fans. Given the fact it's a 90-odd thousand capacity, means that more fans, for however long we're there for, would get the opportunity of going and seeing Arsenal. So it has its benefits in that respect. But it's just the atmosphere and how will we navigate that and deal with that. But yeah, I suppose that's something they've taken into consideration and everything else. And we'll just have to get on with it. And I'm looking at the kind of timescale and probably 2 seasons at a push. It's not ideal, like I said, but if you want the best, you're going to have to go ahead and do it. And, the expansion would probably cost more than what it did to build the stadium in the first place. But yeah, listen, like I said, if it's not affecting the team and it's not affecting the budget and everything else, then cool. Let's crack on and let's have the best stadium in England and one of the best stadiums in the world. And let's get back to having the biggest stadium in London. And it just makes sense. At the end of the day, it's the way it is. And listen, I'm past this stage of thinking about how modernized things are and, all this stuff with stadiums. I love old stadiums. I love the tradition, the old Goodison Park. I still love Villa Park and all these type of places that you go to. And it just has history and meaning and like proper old school stadiums. But at the end of the day, if you want to compete with the big teams and you want to be a big team, you need to have the best stadium. It's that simple. I'd love to still be playing at Highbury, but it was just never feasible. And you have to move with the times. So if that means, retractable roof, if that means, a wraparound screen and all kinds of madness and, a pitch that disappears and I don't know. I don't care. At the end of the day, I care about what happens on that pitch. And if you play well, you win trophies. I couldn't care less. You can bring Beyonce on at halftime for a show. I couldn't care less. Just win on the pitch, get trophies, and the rest will follow. Nobody's gonna moan. It's that simple. So, yeah. Next piece of news involves David Raya. Looks like he's agreed a new contract at Arsenal. And this is a very similar kind of contract as the Leandro Trossard one, where there's no extension of the years of his contract. It means basically more money. And I know a lot of people are quite looking and thinking, it's a bit of a strange one. And it was with Trossard, but I can kind of see where Arsenal are going in this respect now. And the Trossard one, it's like saying, you know what, you've done some good things for us over the last couple of years. And he has had some big moments and good moments and impacts. And whether he should be a starter or not is a different matter. But he hasn't been a bad signing. And Arsenal was saying, you know what, stay because there is interest. And we'll give you more money and reward what you've done and everything else. And it's similar to the, situation now with David Raya. And at the end of the day, if there's one area that in the next few years you're probably looking at and saying we will look to upgrade is probably goalkeeper. So he's got another 3 years left on his deal. We don't need to do anything at the moment in terms of extending it. There is the option of extending it. So we're not going to lose him on a free or anything like that. And yeah, you never know. And look, over the last year or so, we have been looking at goalkeepers and first choice goalkeepers. And the one we wanted went to Barcelona. So it is something that's kind of in the mind. But David Raya right now is one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League and one of the best goalkeepers in world football. It's that simple. But the life of a goalkeeper, a lot can change in the next 3 years or so. So listen, I get it. I understand it. It's rewarding his brilliant performances. And long may it continue, because right now we've got, like I said, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, if not world football. It's that simple. So, listen, there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you agree, disagree? What do you think about the stadium expansion, Wembley, and all the rest of it? And of course, if you're new around here, hit the subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and I will see you a lot soon. I'm out of here.